Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Five on the Front Line, produced by AIHA. I'm your host, Mark Ames. More than a year into the pandemic, manufacturers are still struggling to meet the overwhelming demand for personal protective equipment. But manufacturers can't simply flip a switch and increase production. There are complex barriers that stand in the way. To help us understand what's happening now and the path forward, our guest today is Chuck Johnson. Chuck is the president of the International Safety Equipment Association, which represents industry leaders in safety equipment manufacturing, testing, and application, including respirators, gloves, and gowns that have been so central to the COVID response. Welcome to the show, Chuck.
Thank you.
President Biden is pushing manufacturers to quickly ramp up production of PPE and related supplies to combat the pandemic. Chuck, what challenges are manufacturers facing and what do they need from the government? I wonder if you see the president's use of things like the Defense Production Act as helpful or somewhat harmful.
Thanks, Mark. And before I start, let me say thank you to AIHA and to your members and to all the great work that you guys do. It's imperative for this COVID response, both in the medical field and in greater manufacturing, that we get this right and we get it right the first time. Regarding the Biden administration, we're a year into this COVID response, and the industry has stepped up with a threefold increase in respirator manufacturing alone in the United States. And we can do more. One of the things we're watching for here at the beginning of the Biden administration is where and how this new administration is going to change tack uh, in regard to their policy in relation to the previous administration. And we're already seeing some great things here. We are a huge proponent of this administration's strong signal that they are going to use a science-based and data-based approach to demand forecasting and to deployment for not just personal protective equipment, but also vaccines and other responses to the pandemic. We've been calling for that for the last year. We need a greater and a much more in-depth understanding of who needs what, where, when, and how to get it to them. So we're watching again on for what policy tools that the administration is going to use. And you mentioned the DPA, and the DPA is obviously front and center in this conversation. Our association and our members are willing partners in the DPA process. We had been so with the previous administration, and we have already reached out and started the process of further use of the DPA under the Biden administration. Title III of the DPA is a great tool for the administration to provide the information that the industry needs to deploy. It's not enough to know that there's incredible demand out in the world. We have to know from someone exactly what is needed. We have to have the capital investment from that someone so that new lines can be opened. And then we need the contractual relationship that tells us how much to make, at what pace, where it needs to go, and how it's going to be deployed into society in general. And so we're strong proponents there, and we believe that great things are coming from this administration.
So, related question for you, because there seems to be a perception among policymakers and the public that manufacturers are in some way holding back production of PPE and related supplies. I wonder if that's really the case. Is there still untapped production capacity? And if so, what needs to be done to unlock it?
We understand that sentiment, Mark, because whenever anyone has to operate under conditions of scarcity, and we have had to do so, it introduces hardships. And it's hard to look around and wonder what else can be done and who and how should we do it. What I would say today is that this industry has stepped up and done everything asked of it to produce more and is willing to do so further in the future. If scarcity continues and if we have to operate under those conditions, we want to make sure that we are getting the information from the government to know how much is needed, where it's needed, and how to get it out there. Because this industry stands ready to make what's needed for the people who need it.
Well, it's clearly a complex situation. We really do appreciate you coming on the show, helping us understand the supply chain and the role that manufacturers like your members have in it and what needs to be done going forward. So really appreciate you coming on the show, Chuck.
Thank you very much. Reach out to www.safetyequipment.com or to me personally. We would be happy to partner further.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thanks to everyone for joining us. Five on the Front Line is produced by AIHA. Please subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts and on AIHA's YouTube channel so that you're the first to hear the essential insights from our guests all in 5 minutes. I'm Mark Ames, wishing you a safe and healthy day ahead.